What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. Want to just hit you up with a thought I had in a conversation with someone about their niche. And I love niches. Niches, some people say, but I like niches. Like itches. They feel so good to scratch. But the way this came up was talking to someone and they have a niche. They have their key demographic, and you have probably seen this. People talk about it, maybe even put it in the tagline of their business, something like, I work with single working mothers, or I work with sports and athlete families. I work with people in the church business or clergy, or I work with 20 somethings working on their first budget. There just can be a number of angles. And the issue that came up was that this person has a niche and they haven't gotten anything from it yet. And so they want to change their niche. Now, there are a few things that probably jump in my mind when I hear this. One, I say, have you stuck with it long enough? That's probably one thing. Have you given yourself a chance to be in this niche? The problem that I saw in this case, and I think I see it for most people, is that you are letting, well, there's probably a couple of problems, but one, you're letting the idea of having a niche drive your messaging, and you're trying to find people to fit your niche. That kind of sounds a little obvious, right? That I'm picking a niche, because I want to target those people. But the issue is, do these people exist? For example, if I wanted to have a niche of divorcee college professors that are Christian, that have a lot of money, that also are early adopters of technology and embrace financial independence, retire early or something. You could do a number of things where it just gets so niche-y that there isn't anyone there. And then I would also say, is that an area that you're an expert in? Maybe you're like, that's me. That's exactly what I'm a divorcee. I'm a college professor. I do this and that. But there are just a lot of ways to pick a niche that seems arbitrary, seems like it fits maybe your skills and your interests, but every time you add in a "and" on that niche statement, you are slicing the market in half. And my issue with this is, one, if you keep changing your niche, no one really is going to know what you're about. Also, if you change your niche, it doesn't really show me that you're committed or an expert in that space, because you're saying, I'm going to change it to this too. So I'm an expert in people who race cars as a hobby and work in the steel industry, or whatever it might be. I'm just trying to make stuff up here because I actually don't want to give too many details away about the people that I was talking to, because then you might find their businesses, but which isn't probably the worst thing in the world. They're actually having this problem to begin with. But if you want to change your niche, there may be some other issues that you need to solve. And it's not necessarily just like the people that you're saying you're targeting. It's a little hard when you're trying to anonymize some of this stuff. But what I'm saying here is that you might want to cast the net a little wider, be a little bit more broad. Maybe you don't even want to have a stated niche. Maybe you just want to go out and press the flesh with a ton of people, fill the funnel, talk to people, network, ask for referrals, do webinars, do seminars, do live streams, whatever it might be, and just connect with as many people as possible so that you get your first client and you realize, or have that moment when you realize, that this is who I'm attracting. The messaging that I'm putting out, my background, my history, my expertise, the way I speak, the way I carry myself, this appeals to this type of person. And you're going to find that through experience. What you're not going to really find is sitting around and doing an exercise on paper. I've been to so many corporate things where it's like, hey, here's a bunch of cards with different values on it, or different archetypes or personality types or whatever, and let's start designing around this. And so much of this is trying to prescribe early. So much of what we think about is trying to sit down and identify early. People bastardize sayings, those who fail to plan to fail. I'm not saying you don't plan. What I'm saying is, don't try to make your waiting room something so specific. You're hanging old English tapestries on the wall, or medieval swords or something like that, because that's who you're going to appeal to. Let's keep it a little bit more neutral, right? neutral colors, just drywall, and maybe some abstract cheap art or whatever it is. Let's try to, usually I'm trying to not get to people to cast the net too wide, but there is a balance here of being generic and having something unique to your message. And maybe you don't even want to nail down your niche, but you just want to test a few different messages. And honestly, when I say a few, I don't mean 3 or 4, 20, 30, 50. You might try 200. I'm saying that there's no magic number, and it really depends on how proactive you are about getting yourself out there and marketing yourself. But if you are finding, hey, my current niche isn't really working, I want to rejigger it, I want to massage it like this, stop worrying about the niche. Stop worrying about the wording. Stop worrying about the vision that you have in your head. Just start going out and getting anyone you can. Let your niche be revealed to you. One of the things that I say about people and financial coaches as they're starting up their business, sometimes we obsess about what's our name? What's the domain name that I'm going to get? What do the business cards look like? What are the color schemes in my logo? Where can I get a really nice logo that balances my money ideas with my health and fitness passions or whatever? And we're sweating all these small things that don't really matter to anyone. And the people that really do want to hire us wouldn't care if you used clip art or if you paid $10,000 to an agency to design your logo. So many times we think these small things that aren't very material drive everything. So what I'd say is, who cares what your niche is? If you realize that tweaking your niche is going to help you, just tweak it. Don't even say it. Don't even tell people what your niche is unless you need to for a referral or to spark someone's interest or something like that. But what I'm saying is just get your clients. Let your niche reveal itself. Let your brand reveal itself. Don't settle in too early on a logo or a company name. You might use something like, hey, I work with building riches. And that's your tagline or something. But you might find yourself actually working with people who are just trying to build a foundation. They're not building riches. And you might find yourself, hey, working on budgets and dealing with cash flow and getting people out of debt. I'm just telling you that the bottom of the pyramid is much wider than the top of the pyramid. And so if you've picked your name, your URL, all these things too early, and you're finding momentum somewhere else, well, you might regret it a little later. But especially if you're thinking about changing, that's a sign that don't worry about the changing of the words. Don't worry about the ideas that you have in your head. Just get out there and start finding who is really interested in your services, and then start crafting your messaging off of that. That's my suggestion here. I do like niches, but I think some people seem to go too literal one way or another. They go too specific. There is a balance. It's not the same balance for everyone, but there's a balance. And if you're finding yourself struggling with the niche, you're probably too close to that. You're probably too specific on it. Back off and go a little broader. And if you are casting the net wide, you work with anyone who makes money, it's probably a little too wide. You're probably having a similar problem of having people say, I make money, but do you really have a solution for someone in my situation? You probably need to go a little more specific. So it's going to be different for everyone, but forget about the wording. Just go out and find customers, and then your niche will be revealed. That's my opinion on it. So hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.